Hello, welcome to the Fit and Free Show with me. I'm ZGALA, the Art Angel. You can call me Auntie Angel if you like. I'm here in the Head Hutt. It's a warm afternoon, and I thought I would run through some pairs or sequences of exercises that are great to do throughout the day, whether you do them all together or split them up. Really, it's about just finding more ways to move your body, to stretch, to let go of stress. And so I'm going to share with you some exercises that I often do when I don't have a lot of time or I just want to fit in a little bit. But these are also exercises that I include in a longer routine sometimes. So I'm going to try to name them and then do them, but there's a good chance that I'm going to be a little inconsistent and remember more things while I'm actually doing them than I will remember when I'm saying them. But let's see how I do. You can grade me at the end. I want to do get bigs and get littles is what I call them. That's the official name of them. I'm going to also do lunges. I'm going to do some side-to-side lunges and some front-to-back lunges. Again, very official names. And I'm going to do some cobra and downward-facing dog pairings. Those are also the actual official names. Those other ones, I was just joking. Those are my made-up names, in case you didn't catch that inside joke. I think I'm going to throw in a couple of other things, but we'll see. Maybe not. Let's see if I can remember those three sets of things, shall we? I'm going to come back here and just warm up a little bit. This is not any of the official moves, although it is a good one just to breathe and swing your arms. I didn't include that one. See, I'm already doing extras. It's a good way to just let go of stress and loosen up the back and loosen up the arms. Remember to breathe. Practice your dance steps if you want to get fancier. Twirl about. There I am, adding all kinds of extra stuff. Let's do get bigs and get smalls. That's what I call them. The more official name would be a moderate back bend, where you're lifting your chest, eyes, and ears to the sky, getting big. You could spread the fingers wide. You could get into a wider stance. You could do some diagonals. The point is to take up space. Just see how much space you can take up, and then get littles or get smalls. Come down into a crouch position or what's the word I'm looking for? Squat. The word just left my brain. And get as small as you can into a little ball. Maybe clench the fingers, tuck the chin. Really just see how small of a ball you can get into. Exhale all the air. And then on the inhale, get big again. Take up space. Careful about those head rushes. Sometimes that gives me a head rush. So take it slow. Use some support if you need it. Or get back down into the small ball. Get smalls. There's no right way or wrong way. It's just about exploring movement in your body. Get big. Fill the lungs with air and then get small. Coming into a little ball, squat position. I find just even 3 or so of those. Of course, 10 is probably even better. But 3 is a lot better than none. So that's one set that maybe you haven't run into before. Get bigs and get littles, or take up space and get into a little ball. You can try the The get bigs can be full of movement, swinging the arms, taking up space. See how much space you can take up. And a big breath in, and then the get littles are usually less full of movement. An exhale, rolling into a ball. I suppose you could try that on the floor, even getting down even more small, like you're getting into a box. Make sure if you do that, that you do the same thing on the other side if you can, just to keep things even. And there you have one set of exercises that I like to share that I think is a good one. Let's do some lunges. That's the other thing I like to do. And of course, there are many kinds of lunges. There's the straight back front lunge, pulling those hips onto the perpendicular line, pushing into that back heel, protecting the knee by making sure that front foot is out wide enough. You can do that deeper or very moderate, really depending on your fitness level or how much energy you want to put into it. I like to always try to pull those hips onto that perpendicular line if I'm doing front back lunges, as we'll call these. It's often called a warrior pose of some sort. And then I'm going to come into a wider stance this way and do some side lunges. These are just a nice pairing because they're a little bit different. Now the hips are wide opening. You can hook this arm under that knee and reach for this hand if you want to get real fancy with the side lunge. Come over to the other side. Open that hip even more by lifting that toe, reaching for that. I like to hook this arm under the knee and add some more twisting, bringing the torso toward that knee. That's a very much of a hip opener as opposed to a hip closer that those front back lunges were. You can keep your hands down in the middle and keep those feet parallel if you'd rather, and just come side to side. You can, of course, do this standing, and sometimes you'll see me do that in the sequence where I've come from a front back lunge, shifted that back heel, opening the hips, and then even just twist from the hip, coming into that side lunge. There are many varieties of that are all good to get into. You could do a whole session of lunging. Let's do the same thing on the other side. For even Stevens, I sometimes will add some twisting into this lunge. And again, there's not one way. There are many ways to get into some lunges. I encourage you to explore some of them. So there you have it, another set of exercises, front backs or side lunges with many, many, many variations possible in there. The wind's picking up out there. And let's see if I can remember the last one I said. I think I said, did I say cobra and downward facing dog? I believe I did. Let's start with a roll down, coming into a forward fold, which is another nice exercise to do, and you can do that from the waist. Here's an extra again. You can forward fold from the waist and give yourself a hug. I like to alternate left elbow over right, pulling those shoulder blades apart, breathing in, and then bending from the hips. And then coming up to bend from the waist again, this time right elbow over left. Give it a nice hug. Rounding the spine, exhaling, and then inhaling. Expanding the rib cage and bending from the hips, coming into that forward fold. Letting go of the head and neck. That was an extra set for you. Now, coming into downward facing dog, I'm going to walk these hands out. Sometimes I come into downward facing dog from the lunge. This is another way to do it. And sometimes this is called a tent pose or an upside down triangle. Doesn't matter really what you call it. And you can add some variety to this by bending one knee and then the other, pushing into those heels. You can also add variety by expanding the feet wider. Gives a little bit of a different focus. You want to try to relax the belly and push the hips back, push the chest and heart down, and press down in those heels. I'm going to bring these feet back together for a proper official Adho Mukha Asana is the fancy Sanskrit name for this. Downward facing dog is a common name. And from here, this is a great pairing with the cobra pose. You can come through a plank position like you're going to do push-ups, and then drop the hips, drop the feet, or relax the feet, and lift the chest and eyes and chin to the sky, relaxing the belly. Maybe stretch the tongue. You can look over each shoulder, stretching the opposite side of the belly. I got some bugs in here trying to get me. I'm going to look over that shoulder again. Try to make eye contact with the heels back there. That really gives a nice stretch through the abdomen on the opposite side from where I'm looking. Back to center. Chin up. Tongue stretch. It's all part of the cobra pose, and then tucking those toes under. Again, pushing back into downward facing dog or Adho Mukha Asana. Again, these make a nice pairing and a nice set to do if you just have a couple of minutes or even 1 minute that you want to do some exercises. Throw them in, or you can throw them into a longer sequence. These are often part of the sun salutation sequence, which can take 10 or 20 minutes per round, depending on how many variations are in there. And again, this often I pair with the deep lunge because it works well together. My body instinctively wants to do that, so I'll do that on the other side. Just to show you, you can put all these moves together into a nice routine, or you can do any one of them by itself, or as I've been trying to present them today, they make a nice pairing. The downward facing dog and the cobra kind of even out the body. I'm going to roll up here the different kinds of lunges and the get bigs and get littles. There you have it, with some extras, some bend from the hip and bend from the waist, some breathing in and breathing out, some swinging your arms in different ways, left over right, right over left. You can swing them front to back or side to side, crossed. You can swing them around to twist the body. There's a couple extras for you. So there you have it, 5 sets of easy exercises that you can do just about anywhere and anytime without any special equipment. And you can put them all together into a nice 14-minute routine like I just did, or you can do them all, as I mentioned, individually or in sets. I like to do things in sets so that I remember to, for one, always do on one side of the body what I do on the other side, but also just to kind of like if I'm stretching the front of the body, then I like to stretch the back of the body, or I'm stretching, you know, the legs front back. I like to also open the hips and stretch side to side. What do you like to do? Share that in the comments. I'd love that. I thank you for being you and letting me be me. I thank you for breathing in and out and hopefully getting more fit so you can be more free. I thank you if you like and subscribe because that helps me. Until next time, stay curious, stay courageous, and I'll be seeing you soon. Ciao for now.